Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Star Nations Organization's main fan page and to the live stream show, Communications from Home. This is a weekly show here, and we talk about all kinds of things, all kinds of spiritual stuff, right? And I'm actually very happy to bring to you this evening about living from your heart and a method to be able to do that. And before we get started with that, because, every time I get excited about one of their shows, I forget to ask you guys to do something for me, if you wouldn't mind. First of all, welcome. And for those that are in the live chat, I would really, really like you to do me a favor, if you would. Is that, Facebook, and I call it that elusive creature, right? Just when we think we understand it, they change something, and then we have to try to understand it all over again. But we know one thing for sure is that Facebook really likes it when we like a broadcast and when we share it. And as energy workers, light workers, when we do the sharing, it helps us to reach more people. It puts us in the news feed more often, right? And so if you wouldn't mind doing the like and a share for me, I really would appreciate it. I see it kind of like as a energy worker's kind of civic duty, is to share the information with others, right? And so I'm going to do the same thing, actually. I've got my phone right here. And it's actually pretty simple. Because I'm going to go to the Star Nations Organization's main fan page where we're broadcasting from. And I'm going to find the broadcast. Got to scroll down a little bit. And I'm going to actually turn down my sound so you don't get all squelchy. I'm going to like it, and I'm going to share it. And I'm actually going to share it to my personal timeline because I, tell my friends, right? Tell my friends that I'm live streaming. And so here we go. Hi, friends. And you know what I really like are those quick keys because it makes it so easy. And we're going to say right now, and please join me. There we go. Pretty simple. And I like those quick keys because you know what? With bifocals, you don't have to hunt for the keys. And, and the keys are kind of small on a phone, and you don't have to worry about hitting the wrong letter. Because I used to do that all the time. Yeah. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to share it to a group. I'm going to share it to the Star Nations Radio Magazine closed group. And because that is probably where the most active Star Nation community members hang out. And so I'm just going to say, hi, peeps. I'm live streaming. And then please join. There we go. And then I just have to make sure that I get the right closed group. I don't want to send it to the wrong one. There we go. And that's done. So if you liked and shared it, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Tonight's guest and what we're going to be talking about is how we live from our hearts on the earth plane in the fourth dimension, because most of us that are in Star Nations community and of all the healing work that we've done, all the studying that we've done, our vibration tends to be higher than the third dimension, right? And so we know that Grandmother Earth is vibrating at a much faster rate, and she is already in the fourth dimension and moving into the fifth. Correct? And so for us to even be here with her, consciously with her, we have to vibrate in a range that is the same as her. So living from our heart, there are so many different paths up the mountain, right? And what I'm bringing to you tonight is one of those paths, and one of the paths that is near and dear to my heart. And that pun is intended. First of all, hi, Stephanie. I'm so glad you're with us this evening. And Rochelle's here too. Hello, Rochelle. I'm glad you guys are here. And what I want to do is let you know a little bit about my guest. My guest, his name is James Morrison. And when I first met him, he says, "I am not that James Morrison, but I am the James Morrison." And we met each other, I think it was in 2012, if I remember right. It could have been 2011. And he is currently a teacher with the School of Remembering, and we have an in common teacher who is Drenvelo Melchizedek, right? And so here's a little bit about James, some of his bio. He says, as part of his journey, James was guided by his higher self to seek out the teaching, and in the process became one of the few certified worldwide teachers of the School of Remembering, who teaches the Awakening the Illuminated Heart. And that is a meditation. James received his ATIH teacher certification on March 21st, 2012. Gosh, was that in March? Because we did it at the same time. Okay. After finishing the required training set by the School of Remembering in Drenvelo Melchizedek, he was trained and selected by the School of Remembering Council and Drenvelo. The teacher training is a distillation of Drenvelo's life work, which is true. The Awakening the Illuminated Heart is to assist all of humanity in their ascension. James travels all over the United States and the world to bring this heart-based living to all. He holds a BA in Communication Studies with an interpersonal communications emphasis. He orthobionomy. We're going to ask him about that. The reconnection, still point breathing, heart light healing are among other areas of emotional, physical, and spiritual study in which James has received extensive training. He lives in Indiana, and he is of North American Indian, Cherokee. We had a lot of good discussions about that one, and European descent, and he has a deep appreciation and connection with our natural world. Everywhere he goes, he sees friends in nature and people alike. And he has this quote, and this is the one that kind of touches my heart, because this shows how much James and I, how much we really liked working with Awakening the Illuminated Heart, right? He uses one of the quotes I used. He says, I love this quote, and it's provided by my friend and light worker, Neshi Lokotz. The quote is, when we speak from our heart, the Creator speaks through us. It's a Potawatomi proverb. And with that, I got to move this from my screen. With that, I'm going to bring James on. And we're going to give him a mic. That would be good. There it goes. Hi, James.
Hey, Neshi.
Welcome to the show. Good. Oh. Well, welcome to the Communications from Home live stream show.
Oh, well, thank you. It's great to be here. Hi, everybody.
Yeah. And what's fun, guys, is that James and I haven't spent much time together in the last, 3 years, maybe? Something like that.
Yeah.
And to reconnect has been really fun. And I was so happy to be able to help with this. Is that James is coming to Wisconsin, and he's teaching Awakening Illuminated Heart in La Crosse. And the Warrior Hall, and where he's teaching this class, Ed Glimley is one of the owners, or is the owner now, I believe, contacted me and said, do you suppose that you and James could have a chat on your show about the class? And I said, I'll do more than that. Let's chat about living from the heart.
Yeah.
And yeah, because that's where, I don't know, I'd like to say that you and I spend a lot of our time is in our heart. And Jane Matt, I hope I pronounced that correctly, James, is with our Jane. I'm so glad you're with us this evening. So, James, reading your bio and that date, March 21st, I had completely forgotten about the date, and that it was spring equinox time when we were down in Sedona. My goodness.
Yeah, he actually signed our paperwork on March 21st.
Yeah. And I haven't looked at that in, 3 years, probably more than that. But what I love is that you literally took the work to heart, and you took it on the road. And you've been teaching, I know that you teach all over the United States from coast to coast, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Yeah.
I've been lots of places.
So James, let's explain to the audience what is Awakening the Illuminated Heart. Some people might not have heard about it, and I'd like them to get a gist of what it is that you teach.
Well, it's a meditation ultimately at the end of the 4 or 5 day workshop where we lead everybody into the source of all creation and to do that consciously. Most of us have moments in our lives of clarity where we do it unconsciously. We get into that daydream state, and then all of a sudden we find ourselves connected to source, and it's the most beautiful, amazing, well-lit experience we've ever had. And we're like, how do I do this again? How do I get back to here? And we teach you how to get back to that space consciously. So you're wide awake while you're doing all of this. The source of all creation is within each one of us. Not only is it all around us and we're having an experience in what I would call God, because God is everything, and we've got ourselves focused into what we call our third dimensional bodies and our third dimensional experience. Well, while we're in this finite body, we have a place within us that is our connection to all the rest of ourselves in all other existence. And that it's so easy to find and so easy to experience. Most of us are stuck up here and we forget. And that's the whole problem with our last 13,000 years is we went into a forgetting cycle on our planet and in our existence. So this ancient knowledge and way of living from our hearts, we're helping everybody to find their way back to that. And like you mentioned, this is only one of those paths. And there's many ways to experience our direct connection with the source of all life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good one. Just listening to the explanation reminds me of why we were so drawn to that work, that life work of Drunvalo's, and I think you and I had this discussion one time, a long time ago, that we actually found Drunvalo and when they were doing the Flower of Life classes, right? And I remember I was trying to do facilitator training, just couldn't get there. Could not, either it was too expensive or couldn't get the flight, or, I had to renew my passport. There was a lot of stuff in the way. But when this class came up, that first one I went to in Sedona, it was like there was no barriers, there was no interference. It was so easy.
Yeah.
And that first class you and I took together, did you know that there was a teacher facilitation certification course that was coming up? Because I didn't.
I didn't either. The first I'd heard of Drunvalo's work was in 2011 when my neighbor gave me the Serpent of Light book.
Oh.
And so that was the movement of the Earth's Kundalini.
Right.
And so I was like, what? I was like, and then like within a week, I had all of his books given to me. Mm-hmm. And I was practicing the old way.
Oh, yes.
And I was like, God, I can't do this the old way. I'm not disciplined enough. I need something better. And then, lo and behold, there was on my email, the Awakening the Illuminated Heart. Yeah. It was the third workshop he was offering in November. And that's when I met you. And I was like, everything was on fast track.
Yes, and absolutely.
Then it was another teacher who told me about it, who we met there, Jason Hunt. Mm-hmm. He's like, you can do this. You'd be a great teacher. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, there's a teacher's training come up here at the end of December. And I had no money. I was doing the creation process. My mind was throwing every obstacle in the way to keep me from going. Mm. And I'm so thankful because it was so easy in the workshop
Yeah.
to give me the tools I needed to get into this space and this source.
Right.
And we can explain a little bit here about what it is to do the creation process.
Want to?
Yeah.
All right. Let's do
because
it.
The creation process is only one of the things that you can experience and accomplish within the sacred tiny space of your heart. And we teach you how to do all of this.
Right.
Living from your heart, connecting to the source of all creation, you connect in a way that's not polarized. It doesn't have the bad stuff with the good stuff like we do from the brain. The brain's got electrical connections. One's male, one's female, positive pole, negative pole. It's electrically polarized.
Mm-hmm.
And so every creation we have from our mind and our brain is also going to be polarized.
Right.
We get the good and the bad. And we get what we wanted and what we don't want, the undesirable.
Right.
So, and that's just part of life here in our 3D world, you know. And the more you keep that balance, the easier it is for us. Well, when you connect to the source in the heart space, there is no polarity.
Mm-hmm.
It's only pure love, pure source from unity connection.
Right.
And within this space, when you connect the heart and the brain back together, you can do the process we call the creation process, in which you can create, when your belief system is able, out of thin air, out of nothing, it can be that extreme. I've done it once. And my mind still boggles over that whole process and how I was able to do that.
Yeah.
It was a simple item. It was a pencil.
Yeah.
But still, more than, yeah. And it came out of nowhere. It came out of nothing. It was just appeared in my hand.
Oh.
The most case scenario, because God can bring you stuff unlogically, because God is unlogical, or the source of creation, if you will, can use any means necessary. And so a lot of the creations will come to us in a logical manner.
Right.
So it may seem coincidental, but it still could be, you know, logical. You get to practicing this easier and easier, and you create more from your heart. You can create bigger and bigger things out of thin air. And that will give you the belief in your consciousness that you have the ability to connect this way, and it is real. It's tangible.
Right.
So that's one of the processes that we get to experience from living in our heart space and in the connection of the tiny space. We call it tiny, but the source of creation is really much larger. Encompasses everything you see with your eyes out here in the outer world.
And everything you don't see.
And everything you don't see. It's everything in a bag of chips and more.
Well, potato chips. Come on. let's do the creation process for a bag of Lay's potato chips, you know.
Yeah.
I haven't had those in a long time.
Also, living in your tiny space, and when you practice the meditation as we teach it, allows you to connect with other beings, other parts of yourself in other dimensions. You can connect with any person who is living, who has passed away, or is yet to be born. You can connect and learn. It can be your college, the space you come to for your own comfort and solace, where you want to know any knowledge base that's anywhere in this 3D world. It's all first created and stored in here, and we have access to it.
Yeah.
It's also a great place to just come and contemplate and sit and be.
Yes. Because it's so peaceful, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, this is that peace beyond all understanding. This is the still quiet place. In that cave that Elijah went into, and he became one with God, right? This is that cave that everybody talks about. The Upanishads, an ancient book from India.
Right.
There's 100+ people all talk about their experiences of going into this space. 108.
Yeah. The reason why I remember that is because of numerology. It comes to a 9, and 9 is about completion.
Oh, wonderful.
There's a reason why they used 108 individuals. But go ahead with the story, because it's a great story. Go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead with it.
No, you go ahead.
I was just mentioning it in passing.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, for our audience, the Upanishads are over 4,000. What James is talking about is over 4,000 years old. And there was 108 people that were asked to do a certain meditation, right? They were supposed to go into their hearts. And when they were talked to afterwards, it was amazing to hear how similar their experiences were. And they kept talking about this tiny space of the heart. And so that's where Drunvalo got that term, was from the Upanishads. And so it's a very ancient method of learning to remember that we're here to live through our hearts, right?
And the people from ancient India weren't the only ones who knew this knowledge.
Yep.
The ancient Israelites, they also know this knowledge. And if you would look at the Jewish star, it's actually an 8-pointed Merkaba.
Yeah.
Points 1 and 8 are in front and behind, in the very center of the star.
Right.
So it's actually a 2-dimensional representation of a 3-dimensional structure.
Yeah. Star tetrahedron.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have a comment here from Jane. Jane says, "For me, it is the place of the sacred grove." That's another good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Jane.
Yes, thank you.
So you know, Jane, what it feels like to be there, and not so much what you think about it, but what you feel about it. And
Yes.
I think, James, wouldn't you say that's kind of the, I was going to say the crux of it, is that we have, as a society, we've lived and led our lives through our intellectual process for thousands of years, really,
Yes.
And here we are at the dawn of the new age, or past the dawn. We're in the new age.
We're in it.
We're right in it. And now we're here, and many people are remembering what it's like, or wanting to live.
Yearning for it, yes.
Yearning for it. So one of the questions I wanted to ask you, James, is that because when we were certified and you continued to teach through that frequency of old, we're going to call it in history, right? Is have you noticed a change, a shift in the energy field of teaching back in 2012, 2013, 2014, blah, 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 till, let's say, a year ago?
Oh yes, most definitely. As we've left the old male cycle, which was the mental mind cycle, and the work itself is also becoming much more fluid and flowing, and the having to move from point A to point B through the male way of movement, it's diminishing, and only diminishing in the fact that we pay so much attention to it. We're aware that the movement's still there because it's part of who we are, and being divine male and divine female both. But we're also remembering that divine feminine part of our aspect and of our nature. And the work has progressed this way too, into more sensing and feeling. And when I encourage folks in the workshops now, I actually say, oh, you've got to let go of the thought. What would it feel like? Use your sensing. Yes, be conscious of your thought. Thank your thoughts. Thank that part of yourself for being, work the two together. Your male and female sensing, feeling, experiencing.
Yeah.
So
your whole.
The whole, your whole, yes. And then we combine that in the advanced workshop with the third type of movement, which is the unity, which makes up your whole circuit of positive, neutral, and negative. You've got all three of those aspects. Now, the flowing of the information has gotten that way as well. Instead of trying to be so regimented.
Yes.
And in the allowing of both the male and female movement, we started here like this small, but now the workshops are like this and encompass so much more as a multi-dimensional being instead of just a linear flow of information.
Yay. I recently went over the information. I want to say, when was that? Last month. middle of the month, something like that. I was actually looking up the Upanishads, and so I was leafing through it, and I thought, oh my gosh, no wonder it took us 4 or 5 days to get through this. There was just a lot of linear information that we had to go through. Now I am going to show something here. Guess who's in the live chat? Ed. Hi, Ed.
Hey, Ed.
Ed Glimmy is the owner of Ethereal Gateless Barrier Warrior Hall in La Crosse. That's always been a mouthful. And that's where James will be teaching Awakening the Illuminated Heart. What are the dates on that class?
That is October 18th through the 21st.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody would like to stay for the 5th day on Monday, I will be doing a practical application review to help you feel, sense, and experience in a more practical, tangible way through the body these subtle energies that we have going through the workshop. So you can utilize that to be more solidified in your being. That yes, this is real. This is part of my being, and I can experience the unseen parts of myself through the 3D body and world.
Mm-hmm. So what were those dates again? October
18th through the 21st. That'd be Thursday through Sunday.
Uh-huh.
And the 5th day is optional, and I would be willing to stay that one more day if anybody wanted to have that information and experience of.
And where would they get where would you like them to contact for more information, like a website or something like that?
They can contact me through my phone number or through email. Email works great. Do you have that there?
I know it's Ignatius.
Igneous.
Okay, spell it for me.
Igneous, like igneous rock. IGNEOUS Hunter @gmail.com.
Okay, Ignatius. You said something after that.
Igneous Hunter.
Hunter, that's it. Okay.
Yep. And they could go to the School of Remembering website and look up teachers, find my name, James Morrison. Okay. And my information, contact info is all there on my bio page or on the workshop page for La Crosse.
Is the schoolofremembering.com or .org?
I believe it's .com. Envelope.net is still, you could go there also, but it will take you right back to the School of Remembering.
Oh, okay.
When you click on workshops.
Oh, good. Excellent. So I put your contact information in, and also the website for the School of Remembering. Yes. And you're welcome, Ed. Ed is saying thank you, Star Nations. You're welcome.
The phone number is, you can also contact Ed over at the Warrior Hall.
Hang on. Let me great. Comment. Wait. Ed. Warrior Hall. And what is that number?
Oh, for Ed? I'm
or maybe
not sure.
Ed, would you put your contact information in the comments? That would be so much easier. It'd be so much easier.
But my phone number is 317.
Okay.
590 2537.
2537.
Text messages would be best, but you can feel free to call too. I'm happy to speak with anybody who has questions or comments or would like to know any information about the workshop.
Good.
Or just like talking about spirituality in general and the way we're moving through ascension and our connections with all life. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, connection with all life. We should put that in air quotes. Connection with all life, because that's a Drunvalo saying.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear his voice. It was kind of funny is toward the end of when my last class that I taught, which is about 3 years ago, one of the things that we knew for sure about a part of the class about the creation process, right? And that they said we had to see a green light, right? Remember that? And I never did see a green light. Mine was a different color. Mine was a rainbow, and yeah. And so, I knew at that point that this information, this ancient information, is in the flow of the changing frequencies with Grandmother Earth. And so when you take the course, because when I activated my Merkaba, it was in 2002, and we were still doing it the old way.
Yep.
Oh, the mudra meditation, we had to do that for 90 days every day, and if you missed a day, you had to start over, right? And that didn't mean that it was permanent or stable,
right?
And so and so doing that, and what did we call the old one? It was the synthetic. Did you guys ever change the name or the term for that? Because we were calling it the synthetic Merkaba.
That's what I believe it's still called, or artificial, the male way, the brain way.
Yeah, it was actually created through the brain creation process. With this one, it's actually balancing between the head, the mind, and the heart, and the heart leading it, right?
Yes, because we connect that tiny space, that unity space within us, to the brain, and in that manner, then the brain behaves and operates according to the heart. And so the heart is once again in control of our life. We're not throwing the brain out with the bathwater.
No,
we're becoming whole again and returning our process to a complete whole process the way it was in ancient times. Right.
Yeah, it's fascinating information, but more than that, it's a way of living holistically.
Yes. It shows up tangibly in your outer world very quickly. Your friends, your family will all notice immediate shifts within you. And then you go down 6 months from the time you do have your light body, your Merkaba reborn, which we haven't talked about yet.
No.
People do notice, and you will notice yourself.
Yes, absolutely. And if you have an activated Merkaba in the old way, because there's a lot of us that do, is that taking this class is a benefit, because what happens is you get an upgrade. You get to have the organic created from the heart Merkaba, and your old one and all of its programming pretty much comes over, so you don't have to reprogram it necessarily. You want to check.
And just in case, you can reprogram.
It's kind of like, when you get a new phone, when you go from an Android to an iPhone, not all your contact list comes over, not all your apps come over, so you want to double check it just to make sure. So
the cool part is the living, organic, natural Merkaba, when it expands and comes out around you, goes through the old one. And the old one dissolves in less than a minute. And so in this one's permanent, and it's stable, and it's coming directly connection with unity source. And so there's no need to adjust it. There's no need to make a change to it or to have it do anything other than come out and be born. And you can live the rest of your life with it being that way. But because it's an organic living part of you, you can ask this Merkaba to do certain things, and it will, i.e. programming. And so there's lots of different programs you can put into your Merkaba field. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's just the very beginning of the amazingness that happens by having this part of you. And how does this happen? By doing the creation process. The first time or two that you go to experience the creation process, your Merkaba should naturally just come out on its own. We're not even trying to make it happen. It just does it.
Right. Exactly.
We're watering it with love, and it's reborn.
Right. Right.
This
And
Merkaba, oh, sorry.
I was just going to say that, there is this discussion that we're having, this sharing that we're having tonight is, like James says, is just the tip of the iceberg, because there is just so much more. When we say that we're multidimensional beings, it's a fact. When we say that, yes, we are beings from Earth, yes, that's true. But more importantly, we're universal beings, and the connection to all of the universe through our heart. As above, so below. As within, so without. It's an ancient, from Thoth, that's ancient. And this is all about that, right? As above, so below. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's not one or the other that you have to focus with, right? It's you combine those two together,
mm-hmm.
and you get the two major axes, the X and the YZ axis.
Yeah.
It's all part of that puzzle that they showed us in ancient times. There's clues all around to our structure of our beings here, and reminding us of our connections to multidimensionality life in our other parts of ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, because, it's just talking about this information again brings me, right back to where we were when we were in Mexico, and, getting our certification, and then helping with that last teach the teacher down there. And there is this sense of, it's a deep connection, really, because when you have this connection and you start talking about it to someone else, and they have it too, it's like, yay!
Yes, you can feel it working, living. Oh, it's so amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got to interject something.
Sure.
I'm being, my antennas are tuned into somebody out there.
Sure.
Anyone having difficulty in their meditations, if they've been trying to look and move or feel in that male way of just focusing, oh, I got to do this, I got to meditate, doing the candle focus or the looking at one little dot on the wall. Allow your feeling to start to rotate, to move in a spiral. Your senses to move in a spiral. If you're going to move, feel it not only light up from here at the heart space, but feel it rotate in spirals and in arcs, in waves. You'll start to incorporate the divine feminine within yourself, because she moves in those waves, in those spirals. Sorry about that.
No.
Well, but it was quite clear that somebody may have had that or needed that information.
Yeah.
I know I need it.
That's good. I'm glad you shared it. So, to be able to help someone else with it, that's for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So James, is there anything else that you'd like to add to the information before we say goodnight?
Well, there's a lot more, but for now, we have time. The freedom that I've experienced by living in this space has been overwhelming, and the journeys that the Earth Mother, grandmother, has given me to go around the world has really transformed my life. I have started this for one reason, and out of that, it's shifted into I've become a totally, completely different being beyond my wildest dreams from when I first started. And so many of you may go hear about the creation process and go, oh, this sounds really awesome. I'd love to be able to create stuff in my 3D world. And you really can. It works. I've done it. And Neshi's done it. You know, other teachers have done it. It's amazing. It works. And yet the work itself will completely transform your life into something even more amazing beyond your wildest dreams. This is one path. And this path, you can directly experience ascension in what we call take your body with you, meaning that you can just fade your body out of this world and reappear a body in the next. It can also be as simple as you have a most amazing, smooth life that you experience in this body the rest of your life. This is that longing that we've all been looking for and we've all been searching for outside of ourselves. It's inside of you and can help you express and experience the outer world you've been creating all along. It will transform you away from seeing the world as something wrong with it to seeing it from here in unity, that it's perfect, whole, and complete, exactly as it is, and you experience it this way. Because it is a beautiful Garden of Eden that we are in. We've never left it. We only forgot we were in it.
Good one. I like that one. It's another way of saying heaven is right here on earth, right?
It is.
What you create. It's what you create.
We just disconnected the heart and the brain, and we started living from up here was all. And now we're remembering how to live from here with the brain connected properly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a remembering process, like Drumbelow said.
When in your bio you have that you've taught all over the United States, but also all over the world. Would you share a little bit of the places that you've taught?
I've taught in Taiwan. I've taught in mainland China, Ireland, Bulgaria. I've been to Hawaii and all over the U.S. Now, China, I've been there 4 times to mainland China, and this will be my 6th year, I believe, going back to Taiwan.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yes.
That's a lot.
And, yeah, that in, was it 2013, I think I taught like 26 different workshops. I didn't have any rest. It was intense, and the energies were intense, changing coming out of the old male cycle.
Yes.
And now still teaching. I'll be going back to Taiwan here in from the middle of November to the middle of December. I'll be over about 30 days. And then probably be over on the mainland this year again too.
Well, good.
So it's amazing. Folks everywhere are returning to this ancient knowledge. It's key to remember you're still going to be yourself, but you'll be you in a much greater sense of who you are and your connections as all life. And you really are multidimensional. We all are.
Yeah, I like what you just said, because a lot of people think that they're going to be something completely different. You're going to be closer to your original frequency, your original song when you first came in. You still have healing work to do. You still have mental and emotional traumas to heal, to clear that debris away. And the more that you clear that away is the more that you start to remember how to live from your heart, right? And so you already have your energy field is around you to support that. You still have your healing work to do, because that's part of the soul growth here.
Yes.
You know.
And that tiny space of our hearts is the perfect place to experience all the healing. I mean, here we do conventional medicines, right? Physical body. We get into the esoteric teachings and spiritual healings, and then we get into some more of the energy works and the healings like this big, right? You get into the sacred space, and the healing that you can accomplish in your tiny space and sacred space is through the roof and beyond.
Yeah.
You can do it all in one session with the creation process. So not only can you heal yourself and others, you can learn, and it's a college for you. You can travel Yes, physically travel and also interdimensionally travel through your tiny space.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also create with the creation process and use it as a means of communication with other beings and
Right.
your higher self and angels.
Right.
Um, so and that's just still the tip of the iceberg of those few things I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
That's all possible when you remember how to connect with yourself in here
Yeah.
and through the source of all creation.
You know what happened today? I got
What?
I got contacted by a friend of mine who is going through some real challenges, right? And
Mm-hmm.
she just felt like I've tried everything. You know, I don't know what more I can do. And you could sense the coming in of that hopelessness inside. Would you like me to help you with this? And she said, well, if you can you check in for me? What the heck's going on? And I said, I can certainly try, and of course I went to the tiny space in my heart and met with her soul to soul and to have a chat,
Mm-hmm.
find out if there was anything that I could help her with that would help her gain the insight that she's looking for to move her further down her path, her soul growth. And so,
Uh-huh.
yeah, so we use this as also as a service to others, right?
Yes. Yes. I gave myself to service of Mother Earth, and in doing so, she's had me service others everywhere
Yeah.
to be of service and to help.
Mhm.
Um, it is one of those amazing things. And you brought up a key point.
Mm.
When you're going to help someone, you never ever force that help.
Right.
Ego wants to say, "Oh, but they really need it. I've got to do it." If their soul self, their higher self, their angel, if Grandmother Earth, any one of those, even Father, Son, Spirit, any one of them say, no, you can't help.
Mm.
Regardless if the physical person wants your help, you
Right.
have to find some way to honor that
Hmm.
and let them know that you're unable to, because they're learning on a whole nother level that if we interfered with, could cause a whole litany of problems
Yeah, it's
and
like
delays.
trespassing in a way, really.
Yeah,
Like trespassing and and also interfering with their soul growth. Like we know better,
yeah.
and we don't.
We don't. So permission is something we talk about in the workshop, and it's a two-layer process of permission,
Hmm.
not only from the physical person, but also from that higher self, that connection to soul that
Right.
you can meet within your tiny space and experience.
Mm. Mm. James, I just love you.
I love you too. I love everybody out there.
I just want to thank you for taking the time to be able to do this interview and to share about this ancient way of being, and
Thank
that it
you.
really is right at our fingertips, really.
It is real, literally. Yeah, and it's so easy.
Mhm.
Uh, Give yourself permission now to smile with a gold light that surrounds your heart and move inside that gold light and feel that gold light surround your heart as well as it surrounding your larger outer body. And just smile and breathe with yourself. Experience this way of being.
Mhm.
And if this is right for you,
Right. Exactly.
and thank your mind for whatever thoughts it has, and just pay attention to what you feel and sense, experience here with that gold light
Mhm.
and your nice, gentle smiling with yourself. You'll be amazed at the answers you receive and the feelings that you experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I also want to say thank you to Ed. Ed, thanks for still hosting these classes,
Yes.
Warrior Tall. I think it's an important service that you do, and I just wanted to publicly thank you for continuing to do that. Sometimes, when I first started teaching at the Warriors Hall, a lot of people are saying, "Wait, those two things don't go together." You know, warrior space, you know, and a lot of people really don't understand the connection between.
Right.
And one day, maybe Ed, you and I need to do a live stream together and talk about that again. We've done, I think, 3 or 4 different interviews around that, but we've never done a live stream about it. So that would be interesting.
Yeah. And Neshi,
Yeah.
thank you. I feel your presence a lot as I'll tune in and see how you're doing.
Yeah.
And I just want everybody out there to know Neshi is one of the most amazing people you'll ever get to meet. If you get a chance to come see her in person, please do.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
It changed my life. Because if I remember, we both had a different color of light inside our heart than the green light.
Yes. In fact, can I tell that story? Because it really is a good story. We got it just.
Oh, yes.
So it's a really good story. So here, James and I are in Sedona. We don't know each other, hadn't met, right? And we had been taught the creation process, and we were supposed to go back. It was like at the end of the evening, we were supposed to go back to it was over lunch. That's it. And to practice, right? And to see the green light in the movement. Well, I never saw the green light. What I saw was a rainbow of light, and it spiraled out, right? And I'm thinking, well, God, what did I do wrong? I mean, I did everything. I thought I followed the instructions. Why didn't I see a green light? So we're back in the main hall, and there was like 200 or 300 people in that class. And Drenvelo is up on stage, and he's taking questions. And so I raised my hand and I asked him about seeing this rainbow colored light. And I have to tell you, this is the first time I'd ever experienced this. He walked to the edge of the stage, and he was shifting his weight back and forth, looking at me, not saying anything for a few seconds. It felt a lot longer. It felt like 5 minutes, but it wasn't that long. And he's kind of looking at me. He goes, I think it's because of who you are. And I said, what do you mean who I am? And he said that you're native. And I think that's what happened. And so he was pacing the stage, and he came back up and stood at the edge of it, and he's staring at me again. And that's the first time I'd ever seen somebody's eye color change in front of me. And it's like, wow. Okay, and so afterwards, you raised your hand, and you stood up, and you said, I saw a rainbow too. And that's when you shared that you had Cherokee ancestry, right? Yeah. Yep. So it'd be it'd be interesting to see if there's other natives who had this similar experience.
Yeah. And ever since, we've always been supposed to see God in these types of meditations, but I've had students and myself, everything oscillates through all the dimensional lights. The different colors in the rainbow colors and more. And it's moving, it's a living. And our connection to it is multidimensionally faceted. We're not just statically connected in one light realm, which is okay if it is. That's just where you're connected at that moment to interdimensionality and learning from. But you can move. Your connection moves a lot. And I think that's part of the freedom we've experienced from coming out of the old male cycle to where we're just entering the female, and we're really balanced between the two. If we go 13,000 years into this cycle, we'll get way into the female and be out of balance that way.
Yeah. Yep. Then we'll start all over again.
Yeah, we'll start all over.
In the new cycle.
It's an amazing, amazing way to experience your life you're living now in this body when you reconnect the heart and the brain, and you start to live this life, and you notice it tangibly in your outer world. You pay attention to it. It's truly life altering when you make this connection.
Yeah, and true. That is so true. And and the people in your life are going to notice. They're going to say, you're different. What did you do? Did you get different glasses? Yes. I got that one. No.
Did you cut your hair? Did you lose weight? Yeah. No.
One of
And
the
there,
one of the things my husband said about it was he said, the emotional roller coaster thing is gone.
yes.
Not that I don't have emotions. It's not that
Hmm.
I don't experience the emotions. It's just that they're not um, controlling my life.
Right. You don't have to shut down because of the emotions anymore. And that's and you experience them in a much more stable manner. I
Mhm.
mean, even though you're still having emotions, you experience in it a much more enjoyable way, rather, if certain emotions can be considered enjoyable,
Yeah.
uh,
Hmm.
but in a much more stable way
Hmm.
that it doesn't shut the life down anymore.
Yeah.
And your understanding of how that emotion and what is the cause and the experiences of it, what it's actually doing for you,
Yeah.
and what. So we teach you all of this wonderful information and more, um,
And more.
and
You sound like a
more.
Ginzo knife commercial, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Much more.
because there really is. And when we learned to become teachers of this work, it very quickly shifted in my life because I was living and breathing it like 24/7 for like 2 years, teaching every time. It was the only way I was going to keep up by teaching, right? Is if I would practice the work, and I didn't have to do those mudras anymore. But because I taught it, I was teaching and going into that sacred tiny space at the same time.
Yeah.
It shifted, and I got so much more information about how the work is changing the outer reality again, and it's grown the way that humanity is experiencing this movement into our greater consciousness in with Mother Earth as she goes through the ascension into the fourth through the fifth dimension.
Hmm.
The way in which we can experience it, it's brought about a whole nother pathway, a brand new pathway of experiencing ascension,
Hmm.
uh,
Hmm.
from having done this work. So normally there's like three different ways that people move through ascension, and it's something brand new in all existence that hasn't been uh, experienced before.
Right.
And so and that's coming to mass consciousness. That's coming to us here in modern societies. We have this ability now to do this on a grand, conscious, worldwide schedule, and it's just amazing.
Yeah.
Uh,
It
it,
is. Ed's got a comment here. He says, like going out to eat right after the group, after with the group on day 4. Yeah, that's always fun. You know,
yeah.
go out together. James, we're at the top of the hour. I've got a couple things that I have to do
Okay.
for the end, and so thank you so much for being with us tonight and
Thank you,
talking
Neshi.
about awakening the illuminated heart. And so I'm encouraging our audience that if you're interested in learning about this ancient meditation, there's a class happening in Wisconsin. Okay, all right.
Yes.
So thank you, James.
Thanks, Neshi. Thanks, everybody. And I'll see you in the heart side.
Now I'm going to put you back in the green room, and if you can hang on just for a second for me, okay?
Okay.
Wasn't that fun? I kind of missed that experience. That I was going to say that world, that dimension, just a little bit. So, what I wanted to share with you before the end of the show here is that one of my creations, one of my favorite ones, is the Star Nations magazine. And the Star Nations magazine, the September issue is out. We published on September 10th. And I've been so busy, I couldn't fit in a separate live stream just to promote that particular issue. And here's the cover I want to share with you. This is the cover for the September issue. And the cover picture actually is a photograph taken by a friend of mine, Marjorie Morrison, over in Michigan. And so, isn't that a wonderful picture? It's a hummingbird. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more in depth about the magazine. We're going to be doing a live stream specifically about that issue. I'm hoping to be able to do that after we teach the class. So probably on Monday or Tuesday of next week. Okay. Yes, we have the class coming up. It's the Magic of Hogwarts, and I'm co-teaching that with my good friend, my sister, Minnie Kansman, and that is coming up. We start at 10 o'clock on Sunday, and we're in the midst of pulling together all of our handouts and all the stuff that we're going to be doing hands-on. Going to be making your own wand, and we're going to be making medicine, personal medicine bag pouch that you can wear, and a lot more. And a lot more. If you want more information, please go to starnationsorganizations.org website and click on the Academy page, and you're going to see the information for that class, and also for the upcoming Mystical Healing 101 with Polly Jo LeBay, and that's coming up in October. Okay, and thank you so much for being with us this evening, and I hope that you had received the information that your soul needed for living from your heart. And with that, enjoy the rest of your evening. Next week, Tuesday, is the last Tuesday of the month, and guess what we're doing? We're doing the Unity Breath Meditation. So come on back on Tuesday, and we'll do another ancient meditation together. Okay? Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see you next week. Bama Mina, that's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. Good night, everybody.